Everyone in Lagos believed Amara was the luckiest woman alive. But if they had seen what she saw in the forest that night, they would have called her the most unfortunate woman in the city. Because the man she married, the charming, successful Kelechi everyone admired, was hiding a secret that no human wife was ever meant to discover. And the night Amara followed him into the forest, she realized she had not married an ordinary man. She had married something far older, something that did not fully belong to the human world. But 6 months earlier, Amara had no idea her life would take such a strange turn. If someone had told her then that she would be living in a luxury apartment overlooking the Lagos skyline, married to one of the most charming men anyone had ever met, she would have laughed and called it impossible. Yet, there she was, married to Kelechi, and everyone envied her. The first time Amara met him, she had just finished a long day at the marketing firm where she worked as an assistant. The evening traffic was heavy and the air smelled faintly of rain, and she was standing outside a small cafe waiting for a ride. That was when a sleek black car pulled up beside the curb. The window rolled down slowly. A man leaned slightly toward the opening. "Excuse me," he said politely. "Do you know if this cafe is still open?" Amara turned to look at him. For a moment, she forgot to answer. The man was strikingly handsome, tall, smooth dark skin, calm eyes that seemed to study everything quietly. "Yes," she finally said. "They close around 9. He smiled. "Good. Have been driving around for almost 30 minutes trying to find somewhere decent to get coffee." He stepped out of the car, straightened his jacket, then looked at her again. "You look like you've had a long day." Amara raised an eyebrow. "That obvious?" "A little," he said with a chuckle. "Would you like to join me for a cup of coffee? At least till when the traffic clears." Amara nodded and they walked inside together. That evening, they talked for almost 2 hours. He introduced himself as Kelechi. He owned several businesses, he said: real estate, logistics, imports. He traveled a lot. Amara told him about her work, her small apartment in Surulere, and how she was trying to build a better life for herself and her widowed mother. By the time they finished their coffee, the rain had begun to fall heavily outside. Kelechi stood and reached for his car keys. "Let me drop you home," he said. "That's not necessary," Amara replied quickly. "I insist," he said gently. "It's raining." She hesitated, then nodded. During the drive, he didn't try to impress her with stories about money or success. Instead, he asked about her dreams. "What do you really want in life?" he asked. Amara laughed softly. "That's a big question. I like big questions." She stared out the window for a moment before answering. "I want peace," she said quietly. "I want a simple life, a family. I don't want drama." Kelechi nodded slowly. "That sounds perfect." From that night onward, he started appearing everywhere in her life. Flowers at her office, dinner invitations, random messages that made her laugh during long work days. Within 3 months, he asked her to marry him. Amara had been shocked. "You barely know me," Amara said, staring at him across the dinner table. Kelechi reached for her hand. I know enough. You don't even know my bad habits yet. I'm willing to discover them. She laughed. You're serious? Have never been more serious about anything. Her mother was skeptical at first. One evening, as they sat together in the small living room of their house, her mother folded her arms thoughtfully. This man, she said slowly, where exactly did he come from? Amara sighed. Mama, he owns businesses, he travels. That's not what I asked. What do you mean? Her mother leaned forward. People who appear suddenly with wealth and charm sometimes hide things. Mama, I'm only saying be careful. Amara shook her head. You worry too much. 2 months later, the wedding took place. It was elegant, beautiful, and surprisingly private. Kelechi insisted on keeping the ceremony small. Too many people invite unnecessary attention, he explained. After the wedding, they moved into a luxury apartment near the edge of the city, not far from a thick forest reserve that bordered the outskirts of Lagos. The view from the balcony was breathtaking. At night, the city lights sparkled endlessly. For the first few weeks, everything felt perfect. Kelechi was kind, attentive, and generous. He bought her things she had never even imagined owning. But slowly, small things began to feel strange. One evening, as they sat together watching television, Kelechi checked the time suddenly. It was almost midnight. He stood up quickly. I need to step out, he said. Amara frowned. At this hour? It's just business. Can't it wait until morning? He smiled reassuringly. I'll be back before sunrise. She watched him grab his jacket and leave. The next night, it happened again. And the night after that, always at the same time, always just before midnight. After 2 weeks, Amara finally confronted him. Kelechi, what kind of business do you run that requires leaving the house every night at midnight? He paused, then smiled calmly. Night deliveries. Every night? Almost. That sounds exhausting. He shrugged. It's temporary. But something about his answer felt rehearsed. The next evening, as the clock slowly approached midnight again, Amara watched him carefully. He stood up, checked the time, reached for his jacket. I'll see you in the morning, he said. And just like that, he walked out the door. Amara stared at the closed door for a long time. Then she whispered softly to herself, what exactly are you hiding, Kelechi? Amara pondered over it. She sat on the couch long after the door closed behind Kelechi. The silence in the apartment felt heavier than usual. She stared at the digital clock on the wall as the numbers changed from 12:03 to 12:04. Her mind replayed the past few weeks over and over again. Every night, the same routine, the same quiet departure, the same calm smile. And every morning, he returned as if nothing strange had happened. She wrapped her arms around herself. This doesn't make sense, she whispered. At first, she had tried to ignore it. Everyone had told her how lucky she was. A successful husband, a beautiful home, a comfortable life. But something deep inside her refused to rest. Her phone buzzed suddenly. It was a message from her friend Zainab. "How is life treating you, Mrs. Rich Woman?" Amara forced a small laugh and typed back, "It's good." A few seconds later, the phone rang. "Don't give me that 'it's good' answer," Zainab said immediately. "I know you too well." Amara sighed. "Nothing is wrong. That side says otherwise." Amara hesitated, then said quietly, "Kelechi leaves the house every night." "Every night?" "At midnight." Zainab was silent for a moment. "And he says it's business?" "Yes." "And you believe him?" "I want to, but you don't." Amara rubbed her forehead. "I don't know what to believe." Zainab's voice softened. "Listen, Amara. You barely knew this man before you married him." "I know. So maybe it's time you find out what he's really doing." The idea made Amara uneasy. "You mean follow him?" "I mean protect yourself." After the call ended, Amara couldn't stop thinking about those words. Find out what he's really doing. The next night, she made a decision. She pretended to sleep early. Kelechi came into the bedroom around 11:45. She kept her breathing slow and steady. From the corner of her eye, she watched him quietly change his clothes. He wore a dark jacket and black trousers, almost like someone trying to blend into the night. He checked his phone, glanced at the clock, then leaned down and kissed her forehead gently. "I'll be back before morning," he whispered. Her heart tightened. The door closed. Amara opened her eyes immediately. Within seconds, she was out of bed. Her hands trembled as she grabbed a shirt and slipped into her shoes. "Just find out," she murmured. She hurried downstairs and stepped outside. Kelechi's car was already pulling away from the building. Amara quickly flagged down a passing taxi. "Please follow that black car," she told the driver. The driver looked amused. "Madam, are we chasing someone?" "Just follow it." The taxi moved quickly into the quiet streets. At first, they stayed within the city. Street lights glowed above empty roads. But after 20 minutes, something strange happened. Kelechi's car turned toward the outskirts, toward the forest. Amara leaned forward. "Keep going," she urged. The deeper they drove, the darker the road became. Soon, there were no more street lights, just shadows and tall trees. Finally, Kelechi's car slowed. He pulled over near the entrance to a narrow path that led into the forest. Amara quickly paid the taxi driver. "You can leave," she said. "Madam, are you sure?" he asked nervously, glancing toward the dark forest. "Yes." The taxi drove away. Amara hid behind a cluster of trees as she watched Kelechi step out of his car. He looked around carefully. Then he walked into the forest. Her heart pounded. "What are you doing out here?" she whispered to herself. Taking a deep breath, she followed him. The forest was quiet, too quiet. The only sounds were the crunch of leaves under her feet and the distant call of night birds. Kelechi walked confidently, as if he knew the path by heart. After several minutes, the trees began to thin. A strange glow appeared ahead. Amara slowed down. Her chest tightened. "What is that?" She moved closer carefully and hid behind a large tree. Then she looked into the clearing and froze. At least 20 figures stood in the open space. Some looked human, others did not. Their bodies shimmered faintly under the moonlight. They moved slowly in a circle, dancing, whispering, laughing in voices that sounded both beautiful and unsettling. Amara's breath caught in her throat, but what terrified her most was what happened next. Kelechi stepped into the clearing. The figures turned toward him. One of them smiled. "Welcome back," the figure said. And then Amara watched in horror as her husband's body began to change. His skin glowed softly. His eyes shone with an unnatural light. The air around him shimmered. Within seconds, he no longer looked entirely human. Amara covered her mouth to stop herself from screaming. No, no. Her mind raced. What is he? In the clearing, the spirits continued their strange dance. Kelechi laughed with them. He looked free, happy, completely different from the calm, quiet man she knew. Amara stumbled backwards slowly. Her heart was racing so hard, she thought she might faint. "I married a spirit," she whispered in disbelief. Suddenly, a branch snapped under her foot. The sound echoed through the clearing. Everything stopped. The dancing figures turned their heads at the same time. Their glowing eyes stared directly into the darkness where she was hiding. And then Kelechi spoke. "Amara," he said slowly. His voice was calm, but there was something frightening inside it. "Come out." Her entire body froze. How did he know?" she whispered. The spirits watched silently. Kelechi stepped forward. "Amara," he said again, "I know you're there." She realized she had no choice. Slowly, trembling, she stepped into the clearing. The moment her husband saw her face clearly, the glow in his eyes dimmed slightly. Shock flashed across his expression. "You followed me," he said quietly. Tears filled Amara's eyes. Her voice shook with fear and anger. "What are you?" Kelechi stared at Amara for a long moment. The forest's clearing had gone completely silent. The strange beings that had been dancing only moments ago now stood still, watching the two of them with quiet curiosity. Their glowing eyes flickered like distant lanterns. Amara's heart pounded violently in her chest. "What are you?" she repeated, her voice shaking. Kelechi's shoulders rose slowly as he took a deep breath. For the first time since she had known him, he looked uncertain. "I never wanted you to see this," he said softly. "Answer me," Amara cried. "What are you?" One of the glowing figures stepped forward. She looked like a woman, but her presence felt ancient, powerful. "Kelechi," she said calmly, "the human deserves the truth." Kelechi closed his eyes briefly. Then he looked at Amara. "I am not entirely human," he admitted quietly. Amara shook her head as tears streamed down her face. "No, no, this is impossible. I married a man." "You did," he said gently. "But you also married something else." Her voice cracked. "Something else?" Kelechi gestured around the clearing. "My people." Amara looked at the glowing figures again. Now that she saw them closely, she realized their forms were shifting slightly, as if they were made of moonlight and wind. "They are spirits," Kelechi continued, "guardians of this forest." Her legs felt weak. And you? He hesitated. I am one of them. The words echoed painfully in her mind. You lied to me. His voice grew desperate. I didn't lie. I just hid the truth. That's the same thing. The spirits exchanged glances but said nothing. Amara stepped backward slowly. So every night, she whispered, while I was sleeping in our home, you were coming here to dance with spirits? Kelechi ran a hand through his hair. It's not just dancing. It's our gathering, our connection. And you thought that was something normal to hide from your wife? I was trying to protect you. Protect me? She said bitterly. From what? From fear. Amara laughed weakly. Well, congratulations, you failed. The female spirit stepped forward again. Her voice was calm but firm. You should not have brought a human into your life, Kelechi. Kelechi turned toward her. I didn't plan to fall in love. Love does not erase the laws between worlds. Amara looked between them. What laws? Kelechi sighed. My kind does not live among humans permanently. Then why did you marry me? She demanded. Because I thought I could balance both worlds. And clearly you cannot. Silence settled between them. Finally, Amara spoke again. So what happens now? Kelechi's expression darkened. That depends. On what? On you. She frowned. What does that mean? The spirit woman answered instead. Now that you have seen the truth, the balance has been broken. Amara felt a chill run through her body. Broken how? There are only two parts left, the spirit said. Kelechi looked down. Don't, he muttered. But the spirit continued. She must either forget this night and return fully to the human world, or she must leave it forever. Amara blinked in confusion. What? Kelechi stepped closer to her. They mean you can walk away, he said quietly. You can forget everything about this place, about what I am. Her voice trembled. And the other option? His eyes softened with sadness. You stay with me. In the forest, in the spirit world. Her mind spun. You're asking me to abandon my entire life. I'm asking you to choose. Amara covered her face with her hands. This is insane. Kelechi's voice broke slightly. I never meant for it to come to this. She lowered her hands and looked at him. Then why did you marry me? His answer came softly. Because when I met you, I felt something I had never felt in centuries. Her breath caught. Centuries? He nodded slowly. Amara stared at him in disbelief. How old are you? He smiled faintly. Older than Lagos itself. She shook her head. This can't be real. It is. The spirits waited patiently, as if they had all the time in the world. Finally, Amara whispered, if I choose the human world, what happens to us? Kelechi swallowed. You will forget me. Completely, yes. And if I choose you, you will never return to your human life. She thought of her mother, her friends, her job, the life she had worked so hard to build. Then she thought of the man standing in front of her, the man who had loved her, protected her, and made her happier than anyone else ever had. Tears filled her eyes again. You should have told me the truth from the beginning, she said quietly. I know. You took away my chance to choose. I was afraid you would leave. She laughed sadly. And now I'm afraid you still will. The forest wind rustled softly through the trees. Amara looked around the clearing one last time. The glowing spirits, the ancient trees, the strange, beautiful world she had accidentally discovered. Then she looked back at Kelechi. You said you loved me, she said. I do. With all your centuries, yes. She took a deep breath. Then she stepped closer to him. If I come with you, she said slowly, you will never lie to me again. His eyes widened. Never. You will tell me everything about this world. I promise. And you will never make me feel like an outsider among your people. He nodded quickly. I swear it. Amara wiped her tears. Then, I choose you. The clearing erupted with whispers among the spirits. Kelechi stared at her in shock. You're sure? She smiled weakly. You said you fell in love with me. I did. Well, she said softly, I fell in love with you too. For a moment, he simply stared at her. Then he pulled her into his arms. The spirits began to move again, their glowing forms swirling gently around them. The spirit woman watched carefully before speaking. Then it is done. Amara felt the air around her grow warmer. The forest seemed to breathe. Kelechi held her hand tightly. Are you afraid? He asked. She looked up at him. A little. He smiled. I'll be with you. She glanced once more towards the distant city lights far beyond the trees. Then she turned away and walked with him deeper into the forest. Some people in Lagos say that on very quiet nights, when the moon is bright and the forest wind is still, you can hear music drifting from the trees, soft laughter, and the voice of a woman who once lived among humans but chose love instead. If you were Amara, would you rather give up your life as a human and follow Kelechi? Or would you rather Kelechi gave up his life as a spirit and followed Amara? Or your team? Human and spirits have no business together. Do let me know in the comments. Thank you for watching. You enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss another story full of suspense, drama, and life lessons. Till I share another story your way. Bye.